pregnant wife walked in on Millionaire and his mistress. Her next move shocked everyone. A single knock on the mansion's ornate door shattered the comfortable silence that had settled over the expansive foyer. On the other side stood a pregnant woman, her trembling hand on her rounded belly, wondering whether to step inside the gilded cage that was once her dream home. She knew the man she loved was within these walls, her husband, a millionaire whose name was whispered in exclusive circles. And she also knew he wasn't alone. Every instinct told her to turn away, to preserve her fragile state, but heartbreak overpowered caution. She took a deep breath, pushed open the door, and prepared for a confrontation that would change everything. Anna Lockhart had always believed in fairy tales, or, more accurately, in the miraculous transformation of her own life story. She grew up in a modest neighborhood in Oregon, raised by parents who taught her the value of hard work, love, and loyalty. Even when money was tight, her family's warmth made every obstacle seem surmountable. When she met James Lockhart at a local charity gala, her life took a turn she'd only dreamed of. James was tall, charismatic, and exuded wealth like a second skin. He introduced himself as the CEO of a high-end real estate firm, one that had connections to celebrities and prominent politicians alike. Within a few whirlwind months, they were engaged. Within a year, they were married. For Anna, it seemed like all her dreams had come true at once. Despite the breathtaking wedding and the glamorous social events, Anna always tried to hold on to her roots. She insisted on calling her parents every weekend. She remained loyal to her childhood friends, even when they felt out of place in James's extravagant gatherings. She devoted time to philanthropic work at the local hospital, never wanting to lose her identity beneath the polished veneer of the Lockhart name. But as the months turned into years, Anna noticed subtle shifts in James. Late-night business calls, cancelled dinner dates, unexplained trips that took him to faraway resort towns without her. When she asked about it, he'd assure her everything was fine, that big deals needed handling and new opportunities kept popping up in distant places like Monaco or Lake Como. His voice was calm and persuasive, but the gnawing feeling in her gut grew stronger. The final straw came when, after discovering she was pregnant, Anna found herself alone more often than not. James should have been thrilled, showering her with attention, celebrating their upcoming addition. Instead, he seemed oddly distant, burying himself deeper in work or, as some whispered, in the arms of another woman. It was in that haze of suspicion and heartbreak that Anna decided she needed absolute proof. She heard rumors, half hints at country club luncheons, about a woman named Celeste, a name that made Anna's spine tighten. Apparently, Celeste was a younger, foreign heiress who had been seen on James's arm at social events Anna had never even heard about. With her pregnancy now in its third trimester, Anna's emotions were dangerously heightened. She found herself weaving between rage, desperation, and an unbreakable desire to know the truth. One sunny morning, Anna feigned a sudden appetite for orange marmalade from a specialty shop in the city. This small ruse gave her a cover to slip away from her usual routine. She climbed into her car, a sleek black SUV James had purchased for her safety, though she now wondered if it was more for appearances than genuine concern. She drove through congested streets until she reached one of James's newest real estate developments, a grand, modern mansion on the outskirts of town. The caretaker, recognizing her as James's wife, allowed her inside the property without question. The marble floors echoed beneath her sensible flats. Somewhere in this palatial house, Anna suspected James would be waiting and not alone. Her heart thundered as she made her way through silent corridors. Tension pulsed with each step, a knot in her throat growing with every moment that passed. With sweaty palms, she finally located a door at the end of a hallway. It was slightly ajar, a crack wide enough to see two silhouettes inside. Anna's breath caught in her chest. This was the moment she had dreaded, yet needed. She could hear hushed tones, the unmistakable murmur of intimacy. Summoning all her courage, she pushed the door open. The shock she had prepared for was nothing compared to the reality of witnessing her husband's betrayal. There stood James, shirt partly undone, leaning against a young woman with auburn hair and a coy smile. That woman, Celeste, was draped in a satin robe, the shimmering fabric highlighting her slim figure. The sound that escaped Anna's lips was neither a scream nor a cry, but something raw and wounded. Something she had never heard herself make before, and it froze James and Celeste in their tracks. As Anna's eyes filled with tears, a swirl of anger overtook her. She pressed a protective hand against her growing belly. She felt the baby move, perhaps as startled as she was, and all the heartbreak condensed into a single moment of furious strength. Everything she had believed, everything she had trusted, now lay in shards at her feet. Her voice wavered as she whispered, "How could you do this to us?" That one question, fragile yet seething with betrayal, hung in the air, and in that moment, Anna realized her response to this colossal heartbreak would determine her future and her unborn child's. James jumped away from Celeste as though Anna's shattered expression had burned him. For a split second, Anna saw panic flicker in his eyes, quickly replaced by a mask of composure and expression. She recognized all too well from his business negotiations. He stammered something incoherent, casting quick glances between the two women, trapped in the crossfire of his own making. Meanwhile, Celeste's face took on a range of emotions. Initially, there was shock at being caught. Then, an almost imperious defiance spread across her features. She folded her arms and regarded Anna with thinly veiled disdain. If she felt any guilt for participating in the destruction of a marriage, she hid it beneath layers of smirking arrogance. Anna braced one hand against the wall for support. Her heart thudded so loudly in her ears that James's muttered excuses were barely audible. She focused on breathing, on staying upright, on not falling to pieces before this woman who had inserted herself into Anna's life. "I'm sorry," James managed, though the words trembled with insincerity. "It's not what it looks like." Anna almost laughed out loud at the cliché. She shot him a look that spoke volumes. Then, ignoring James for a moment, she fixed her gaze on Celeste. Anna expected guilt, maybe shame. Instead, she saw a smug flicker in the younger woman's eyes. Celeste raised a brow and tilted her head. This was the look of someone who felt she'd already won. Seething with betrayal and fueled by heartbreak, Anna found an unexpected reservoir of self-control. She refused to give Celeste the satisfaction of seeing her crumble. Instead, she raised her chin and said quietly, "Get out." The mistress opened her mouth, perhaps to protest or mock Anna further. But something in Anna's voice, a quiet, lethal resolve, made Celeste hesitate. After a tense pause, Celeste grabbed her belongings, shooting James a look that screamed betrayal. He didn't dare meet her eyes. She left the room with a dramatic flourish, and the echo of her footsteps soon faded down the hallway. Alone with James, Anna tried to tame the wild swirl of emotions inside her. She recalled how gentle and kind he had been when they first fell in love, how carefully he'd placed a diamond ring on her finger, promising her the world. The man standing before her was still physically the same James, strong jaw, immaculate suit, confident stance. But Anna now saw something different behind that poised exterior, a fearful and insecure man scrambling to maintain his kingdom of illusions. She waited for him to speak, to confess, to show even a shred of genuine remorse. Instead, his mouth opened and closed without forming coherent words. Finally, with a controlled edge in her voice, Anna demanded, "Explain." "It just happened," he began, rubbing the back of his neck. I was lonely, traveling for business. She was a distraction. A distraction, Anna repeated, bitterness flooding her throat. She felt the baby move inside her again. Her maternal instincts roared, fueling her anger. You break your vows and degrade our marriage, and you call it a distraction. James's eyes flashed with a mixture of regret and defensiveness. I never meant for it to go this far. You have to understand, Anna, I love you, but we barely see each other sometimes. The baby, the changes, it's just complicated. Anna's eyes filled with tears, but she refused to let them fall. She stared at him, incredulous. Complicated? You think carrying our child is complicated? You think your feelings of loneliness justify this? He looked away, his shoulders slumping. In that moment, Anna sensed that maybe, just maybe, he was ashamed. But then he straightened, something shifting in his expression. He reached out as if to touch her arm, but she shrank back. Please, let me fix this. I'll end it with her, he vowed, desperation cracking through. I want our family. I want you and the baby. I swear it won't happen again. Anna looked at him for a long moment. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to cling to the future they had planned. But that raw memory of Celeste, of James in her arms, loomed large. Could she truly forgive and forget? Could she raise their child, knowing this was how far he'd fallen from the promises they made? Hurt and anger clashed inside her, leaving her feeling hollowed out. I need time, she whispered, her voice shaking. I can't even look at you right now. Stay away from me. Then, with a trembling yet determined stride, she walked away. Each step took her farther from the illusions she'd once cherished, deeper into a new reality that would test her courage and her capacity for both forgiveness and retribution. Over the next few days, Anna tried to collect herself. She stayed in the guest bedroom of their penthouse apartment in the city, refusing to even dine at the same table with James. He, in turn, gave her cautious space, though he'd plead through the door or over text, begging for forgiveness, asking her to talk, but Anna's emotional storm was too powerful. She spent hours on the phone with her mother, who offered unconditional support, though she wisely avoided pushing Anna toward any immediate decisions. Anna's closest friend, Marisol, flew in from Seattle the moment she learned what had happened, determined to comfort her. While Anna paced around the penthouse, still dazed by the betrayal, Marisol tried to coax her out to lunches, spa visits, anything to keep her from collapsing beneath the weight of her heartbreak. In quiet moments, Anna's tears would come in torrents. She would cry for the naive girl who believed in fairy tale endings, for the unborn child now thrust into a realm of broken promises, and for the marriage she had hoped would be different from all the cautionary tales she'd grown up hearing. Each wave of grief gave way to confusion. Should she run? Should she fight? Should she give James another chance? It was during one of these long, tear-soaked afternoons that a knock came at her bedroom door. Expecting Marisol, Anna answered with puffy eyes and an unsteady voice. Yes? Instead of Marisol, she found Armando Cruz, James's trusted executive assistant. The tall, discreet man with salt and pepper hair had always treated Anna politely, albeit with a formal distance. He cleared his throat, clearly uncomfortable, intruding on such personal matters. "Miss S. Lockhart," he said respectfully, "I hope I'm not disturbing you. May I speak with you in private?" Anna blinked away tears and invited him to enter. Armando closed the door carefully behind him, as though aware that their conversation needed absolute secrecy. He seemed uncertain of how to begin, fiddling with the silver watch on his left wrist. "I've worked for Mr. Lockhart for 7 years," he began, his voice low. "I owe him my career, but I also respect you, ma'am. You've always been kind and genuine. I can't stand by and watch this situation unfold without offering some insights. A flicker of apprehension touched Anna's heart. She gestured for him to continue. Armando swallowed. "You must know your husband has many enemies in the business world. Some of them have been waiting for a reason to tear him down. This affair with Celeste, it isn't just a random fling." He paused, collecting his thoughts. "Celeste is the daughter of Lorenzo De Luca, a powerful magnate who has been trying to partner with Mr. Lockhart on several deals in Italy." Anna's brows knitted together. She knew James had done business in Europe, but the name De Luca was foreign to her. "So, what does that have to do with James's affair?" Armando rubbed his temples. "I'm not entirely sure, but I suspect that Mr. Lockhart's involvement with Celeste might be more strategic on her side, perhaps a way for Lorenzo De Luca to gain leverage over him. I've seen things, secret phone calls, suspicious wire transfers. Mr. Lockhart confided in me once that De Luca was extremely insistent they form a partnership. When Mr. Lockhart refused to meet certain terms, Celeste suddenly appeared in his life. It might not have been mere coincidence." A chill ran through Anna. Was it possible James had become ensnared in a scheme bigger than just infidelity? Was Celeste an accomplice to her father's plans? Armando continued. "I don't condone what Mr. Lockhart has done, but I think he's in serious trouble. He owes a substantial investment to an associate of De Luca's. If Mr. Lockhart doesn't comply, De Luca might ruin him, ruin you both." Anxiety twisted in Anna's stomach. "Why are you telling me this now?" she asked, though she was grateful for his honesty. "Because you have the right to know what forces are at play," Armando replied. "Because I believe you might be the only one who can convince him to come clean, to handle it before it spirals even further. And because, well, I respect you more than I fear them." He turned to leave, but paused with his hand on the doorknob. "If I can help you, Miss S. Lockhart, just let me know." Then he quietly exited, leaving Anna standing there, heart pounding, mind whirling with this new information. She sank onto the bed, her tears momentarily forgotten, replaced by the shock of realizing that James's affair might not be just a personal betrayal. It could very well be part of a far more complicated web of power, blackmail, and high-stakes business rivalries. Where did that leave her and her unborn child? In the aftermath of Armando's disclosure, Anna found herself wrestling with conflicting emotions. On one hand, the betrayal of James's affair still cut deep. On the other, if Celeste's involvement was strategic, if there was a threat that reached beyond mere infidelity, then walking away might leave James vulnerable to even greater ruin. The idea of doing nothing, of letting him face that danger alone, wasn't something Anna could accept lightly, especially when it could also impact their child's future. Anxiety gnawed at her day and night. Sleep became elusive. She'd toss and turn, haunted by mental images of Celeste's triumphant smile and the possibility that James, despite his flaws, might be backed into a corner by dangerous people. During one particularly restless night, she rose from bed and wandered the penthouse until she found herself in James's study. The room held dozens of physical reminders of their marriage, framed pictures of them on trips to Bali, the gold-embossed wedding album they'd had custom-made, and baby shower invitations for the event scheduled just a few weeks away. The presence of these mementos felt suffocating, yet they also reminded Anna of the love she once believed was unshakable. She wasn't sure if that love still existed, but she knew it deserved a fair reckoning. Driven by a sense of urgency, she began rifling through James's desk drawers. She told herself it wasn't snooping if the house belonged to them both, if it was for the good of their family. In one drawer, she found routine paperwork, tax returns, and property deeds. In another, she discovered a black leather-bound notebook. Inside were meticulously scribbled notes, addresses, foreign bank account numbers, phone numbers with international codes. Her heart hammered. The numbers seemed to indicate large sums, transactions bigger than anything she'd expected, even knowing James's wealth. Some lines were underlined in red with the notation DL scrawled next to them. Lorenzo De Luca. Was James pouring money into De Luca's ventures, or was De Luca investing in James's? She flipped a few more pages and froze when she recognized Celeste's name. The note read simply, Celeste call terms, possible compromise, 5M. A swirl of questions assailed Anna's mind. $5 million? Terms for what? A hush money arrangement? A partnership deal? Or something even darker? Before she could delve further, a sudden shuffle of footsteps made her jump. She spun around to see James in the doorway, his expression a mixture of exhaustion and guarded curiosity. "Couldn't sleep," he said quietly, stepping into the study. He looked thinner, with dark circles under his eyes, like a man haunted by his own demons. Anna clutched the notebook to her chest. For a moment, they stared at each other, the silence thick with tension. Finally, she mustered a steady breath and spoke. "James, I know about De Luca. I know about the money, the suspicious calls. Armando told me some of it. And now," she held up the notebook, "I want answers." A flash of panic crossed James's face, but he quickly masked it. He closed the distance between them, lowering his voice. "You have to trust me. I'm handling it." "That's exactly the problem," Anna snapped. "I can't trust you not after what you did with Celeste. And your idea of handling it looks like it's sinking you deeper into quicksand. You need to tell me the truth. All of it." James hesitated. Anna could almost see the debate waging inside him, protect his pride and keep her in the dark, or finally confide in the one person who had stood by him through everything. With a defeated sigh, he sank into the leather chair by his desk. "I was stupid," he began, voice trembling. "It started out as a harmless flirtation. But Celeste isn't who she pretends to be. She's manipulative, cunning. Her father was pressuring me to accept a partnership that could have doubled my net worth. But his terms were unethical. I refused, and then Celeste showed up. She pursued me relentlessly. He swallowed, averting his gaze. "I made a mistake, and then she used it against me." He gestured to the notebook in Anna's hands. "That's a record of the money I've had to move around, bribes, hush payments, to keep her from going public with. Everything. If the media finds out, my reputation is ruined. Investors will back out. The scandal alone would cripple my company, and the child, our child, would be born into a storm of lawsuits and public disgrace." Anger simmered beneath Anna's skin. "So you tried to buy her silence?" "What choice did I have?" James exclaimed, his voice shaking. "I didn't want to lose everything, and I didn't want you to suffer, so I kept it a secret, trying to protect you." "Protect me?" Anna almost laughed at the absurdity. "You lied to me, betrayed me, and now you're hemorrhaging money to someone who doesn't care about anything but her father's business agenda. You've dragged us both into a dangerous situation, James." He dropped his head into his hands. "I know, and I'm sorry. I've been trapped, and I've been too proud to ask for help. I knew you'd leave me if you found out." The bitterness in her throat was nearly overwhelming. "And now that I have found out, what do you expect me to do? Just stand by your side while you throw money at the problem?" James looked up, desperation in his eyes. "I don't know. I just know I can't fix this alone. I need time, a plan, a way to break free from De Luca's clutches. Maybe I can talk to my board members, find new investors, something. But it might take months. And Celeste is threatening to go public any day now." A tense silence settled over them. Anna realized she was still clutching the notebook. She thought of the baby, the life stirring inside her. She remembered how it felt to walk in on James and Celeste, the pain burning like a hot brand across her heart. And yet, she also remembered the hopes she'd had for their family, for a future that was supposed to be so bright. With a steadying exhale, Anna met his gaze. "James, I'm not saying I forgive you. I'm not saying I trust you, but I'm pregnant with your child, and that child deserves a chance at stability. If you're really sorry, if you really want to fix this, we'll do it together. But no more lies, no more half-truths. One slip, and I'm gone." Tears glistened in James's eyes, relief mingled with shame. "Thank you," he whispered. "I swear I'll earn back your trust somehow." Anna nodded, feeling the weight of the decision press on her. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet. It was a tentative alliance, forged by necessity and bound by something that, despite the betrayal, still lingered between them. She turned to leave, but paused at the door. "Celeste thinks she's untouchable," Anna said quietly. "She's underestimating me, underestimating us. That might be her biggest mistake." She left the study then, heart pounding, mind racing with strategies she never thought she'd have to employ. It was a precarious path, but for the sake of her child's future, Anna would walk it no matter how dark it became. Days turned into weeks as Anna and James put on a united front, at least in public. At lavish business dinners, they arrived arm in arm, their strained smiles convincing outsiders that everything was fine. At home, they tiptoed around each other's wounds, James trying to prove his sincerity with small gestures, Anna wrestling with the emotional aftermath of her discovery. Celeste, true to her manipulative reputation, continued her silent intimidation. Whispers circulated at high-end gatherings, rumors that something explosive was brewing. Meanwhile, Anna busied herself with meticulously going through James's financial records, looking for a crack in Celeste's armor. Her pregnancy advanced, and with each passing day, her determination grew stronger. She was fiercely protective now, not just of her broken heart, but of the life she carried. One afternoon, while James was in a board meeting, Anna received an unexpected phone call. The number was unfamiliar, but curiosity got the better of her, and she answered. "Hello," she said softly. "Miss S. Lockhart." A female voice responded with a slight accent. "We haven't had the pleasure of speaking directly until now." Anna tensed. "Celeste." A light, condescending chuckle drifted through the receiver. "I see James has kept you informed. Very good. I wanted to discuss a little arrangement with you. You see, I've grown tired of these hush payments. They lack imagination. I'm thinking of a more permanent solution." Anna's grip tightened on the phone. "If you think you can threaten me—" "Threaten?" Celeste interrupted, feigning offense. "Oh, Mrs. Lockhart, I would never. I'm offering an opportunity. James has a property in Monaco that would serve my father's expansion nicely. We'd consider it a friendly gesture if you and James transferred ownership to us at a nominal price, of course." She paused, the silence crackling. "In return, I'll forget about that footage I have of James and me in a rather compromising position." Anna's stomach twisted in revulsion. "You're blackmailing us." "I prefer to call it a business transaction," Celeste said coolly. "Think about it. A quick transfer, a simple signature, and all of this goes away. Your child can be born in a loving, scandal-free environment. Isn't that what you want, Mrs. Lockhart?" Anna's mind raced. Monaco. The property was a luxurious condo that James occasionally rented out to wealthy clients. It was worth millions. Handing it over would be an enormous blow to James's finances. "But if it ended the blackmail—" "I'll speak to my husband," Anna said, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. "Please do. And don't take too long. Time is money, after all," Celeste purred, then ended the call. Anna sank into a chair, her heart pounding in her chest. She could almost imagine Celeste's triumphant smile. How sure she was that this would break Anna's resolve. But instead of cowering, Anna felt a spark of cunning ignite. Celeste was pushing for a property transfer. That meant Celeste and her father saw a need to accelerate their hold over James. Maybe their position wasn't as unassailable as it seemed. Maybe they needed that property more than they let on. When James returned, Anna recounted Celeste's proposition. He looked defeated at first, hands trembling. She has videos of us. That could destroy our reputation. Or we find another way, Anna countered, rubbing her belly absent-mindedly. Giving in to her blackmail now only opens the door to more demands later. I think we need leverage, something that can keep her and DeLuca at bay. James grimaced. I've tried. I have investigators digging into their background, but they're so well connected. It's nearly impossible. Anna reached for his hand, surprising both of them. Let me help. I have an idea. That night, Anna contacted her friend Marisol, who had a knack for gathering intel. Marisol, an investigative journalist by trade, had built a reputation on unearthing secrets the powerful preferred to keep hidden. If anyone could find a chink in DeLuca's armor, it was her. Over an encrypted messaging app, Anna explained the situation. Marisol didn't hesitate. She promised to discreetly investigate Celeste's family, focusing on their finances and any legal trouble they might have swept under the rug. In the meantime, Anna and James pretended to consider Celeste's demand. They even arranged a lavish dinner at a 5-star restaurant with Celeste under the guise of negotiation. The tension was palpable that evening. Anna wore her most confident expression, determined not to let Celeste see any vulnerability. Celeste, exuding smugness, sipped champagne, ignoring Anna's pregnancy entirely. James tried to maintain decorum. He proposed that they discuss the transfer terms in detail, playing along just enough to buy time. Celeste seemed pleased, though she kept glancing at Anna as if searching for a crack in the armor. Anna remained composed, forcing herself to meet Celeste's gaze without flinching. After dinner, Celeste left with a cryptic smile, reminding them that the clock was ticking. In the car ride home, James and Anna sat in silence, the tension thick. Yet beneath the quiet, a nascent sense of teamwork pulsed, an understanding that they were locked in a battle for their future, and they needed each other to win it. Late that night, Marisol sent a message. She had discovered something interesting, a Swiss bank account tied to Lorenzo DeLuca with suspicious transactions that looked like funds diverted from questionable sources. A scandal of that nature could topple DeLuca's empire if exposed. It was exactly the kind of leverage Anna had hoped for. "We have a lead," Anna whispered to James, showing him Marisol's message. "If we use this right, we might corner Celeste into backing off. She and her father wouldn't risk a full-scale investigation into their finances." James's eyes lit up with a mix of hope and apprehension. But how do we expose it without implicating ourselves or turning DeLuca into a vengeful enemy? Anna swallowed hard. "We won't do it ourselves. We leak the information to an independent source, maybe an investigative news outlet. We make sure Celeste knows we have proof and can give it to them at any time. As long as we hold that power, she can't force us into anything." James rubbed his temples. "This is so far beyond anything I ever wanted." Anna placed a hand on his shoulder. "Infidelity, blackmail, corporate espionage, none of this is what I wanted either. But we have to end it, James, for our child's sake." He nodded, defeat etched into the lines of his face. "Let's do it." With that fragile alliance sealed, they embarked on a perilous game of cat and mouse, one that would demand every ounce of courage and cunning Anna possessed. If they miscalculated, Celeste and DeLuca would strike mercilessly, and the fallout could ruin them both. But if they succeeded, Anna might reclaim not just her future, but her dignity. Under Marisol's guidance, Anna and James crafted a carefully worded letter, accompanied by select documents that hinted at the DeLuca family's financial misdeeds, just enough to prove they had real evidence without giving away their entire trove. They arranged for an anonymous courier to deliver the letter directly to Celeste's private residence late one evening. The night of the courier's dispatch, Anna sat by the window in the penthouse, watching the city lights flicker below. She could hardly believe the precarious situation she found herself in, coordinating a covert operation to confront her husband's mistress with evidence of high-profile corruption. Yet her heart beat with a sense of purpose. For the first time since she walked in on James's betrayal, Anna felt some semblance of control. Her phone buzzed. It was Marisol, confirming that the letter had been delivered and received. Anna inhaled deeply, bracing herself. If Celeste reacted in rage, they might face immediate retaliation. If Celeste decided to negotiate, that would mean they'd gain the upper hand. Hours passed with no response. James paced the living room, gnawing at his thumbnail, a habit Anna had never seen him display before. She realized, with a pang, how severely the stress was wearing on him. Near midnight, Anna's phone finally rang. The caller ID showed an unknown number. She answered on speaker so James could listen. A breathy, tense voice filled the line. "I see you've been busy, Miss S." Lockhart. Celeste. The usual smugness had vanished, replaced by a brittle edge. Anna summoned her steeliest tone. "Busy protecting my family." There was a short, simmering silence. "Your little package was quite a shock," Celeste finally said. "For someone so, shall we say, domesticated, you certainly have sharp claws." Anna refused to be baited. "I'm glad to hear you're impressed. Let's keep this simple, Celeste. We have evidence that can launch an investigation into your father's finances. If that happens, I doubt you'd escape scrutiny either." "You'd ruin us both," Celeste shot back, her voice pitched with anger. "I have tapes of James' things that would tarnish the Lockhart name forever." "You sure you want to escalate?" Anna felt James flinch beside her, but she stayed calm. "If you release those tapes, we'll send all the documents to the authorities and to every major news outlet worldwide. Think about your father's empire, Celeste. Think about what he'll do if he learns you provoked the downfall of his entire operation." Celeste sucked in a sharp breath. Anna imagined the wheels turning in the mistress's mind, calculating the risks. Another tense pause. Finally, Celeste exhaled, a resigned hiss. "You've grown more formidable than I expected, Mrs. Lockhart. The first underestimated you." Anna let the silence hang, waiting for Celeste to capitulate. James's hand found hers, squeezing. She felt a slight tremor in his grip. They were both on the edge, hearts pounding, praying this gamble would work. "You want out," Celeste said, her tone flat. "No more blackmail, no property transfer, no hush payments." "Fine. I'll handle my father, but if you so much as hint at releasing that evidence, I won't hesitate to torch whatever's left of your precious marriage." Anna nodded, though Celeste couldn't see her. "Deal. You leave us alone for good, and those documents never see the light of day." Celeste gave a humorless chuckle. "Consider it done. You've won this round, Mrs. Lockhart, but watch your back. You're playing in a league far beyond your depth." The line went dead. Anna and James remained still for a long moment, letting the tension seep out of their bodies. Then they turned to each other, a wave of relief mingling with disbelief. It seemed they had, at least temporarily, neutralized Celeste's threat. But triumph was short-lived. Anna knew Celeste's parting words were more than idle bravado. The DeLucas wouldn't forget this. They might back off publicly, but covertly they could still seek revenge. And there was the looming question of how Anna and James would move forward in the wake of this crisis. Could their fractured marriage endure? For the first time in weeks, though, Anna allowed herself a sliver of hope. She'd proven her resolve, her willingness to fight for her child's future. and James had stood by her side, choosing family over his own pride. That was enough for tonight. In the days that followed, the tension that had weighed so heavily on the Lockhart household began to ease. Anna no longer expected threatening phone calls at odd hours, and James's finances stabilized as the hush money outflow ceased. The monstrous secret that had haunted them seemed to recede into the shadows, replaced by a fragile normalcy. Still, the emotional toll remained. Anna found herself struggling with her conflicting feelings: anger toward James for his betrayal, empathy for his desperation, and a cautiously reborn respect for the man who had fought beside her when push came to shove. Their interactions were laced with awkwardness. Simple gestures like James offering her a glass of water or Anna smiling faintly when he cracked a joke felt loaded with unspoken meaning. One evening, as they sat in the living room after dinner, James broke the silence. "We need to talk," he said softly, looking as though he'd aged 10 years in the past few weeks. Anna nodded, turning off the television. She shifted on the couch to face him, her pregnant belly prominent between them. A spark of pain crossed James's face as he noticed how far along she was, how many moments of this pregnancy he had lost to his affair, and the subsequent turmoil. "I have to ask," Anna began, "now that the crisis with Celeste is under control, what do you want from me, James? Do you actually want to be in this marriage, or did you just not want a scandal?" James inhaled, steadying himself. "I deserve that question. Truthfully, I still love you, Anna. I know it might sound hollow after everything, but I do. I never stopped. With Celeste, I was reckless, seduced by the thrill and the lies. But the thought of losing you, truly losing you, terrifies me." Anna's eyes brimmed with tears she refused to release. That might have been easier to believe a few months ago. He reached for her hand. She didn't pull away this time. "I understand that I've shattered your trust. I'm not naive enough to think words alone can fix that. But I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Marriage counseling, signing over assets to ensure you and the baby are protected. Whatever it takes to show I'm serious. I want us to be a family." Anna searched his face. She recalled the early days of their courtship, the sincerity in his eyes when he promised her the world. "It's not going to be simple," she murmured, voice quavering. "I'm still hurt, and I don't know if I can ever look at you the same way." He gently squeezed her hand. "I know. I'm asking for a chance, not immediate forgiveness. Let me earn it back, day by day." A thick silence followed, filled with regret for the past and uncertainty about the future. But beneath it, there was also a glimmer of hope, a shared understanding that they had survived something enormous. And if they could navigate the aftermath, maybe they could build a stronger foundation. Finally, Anna nodded, blinking away tears. "We'll try," she said quietly, "for our child's sake, for us. But no more secrets, no more illusions." James nodded, relief flooding his features. "Thank you, Anna." They sat there, hand in hand, an unspoken vow passing between them. The path ahead would be riddled with trials, but at least they were facing it side by side, tentatively, uncertainly, but united in purpose. Anna felt a flutter in her belly, and she wondered if the baby could sense this shift in the air, a new beginning taking shape in the wake of heartbreak. As her due date approached, Anna threw herself into final preparations for the baby. She spent hours researching cribs, strollers, and the perfect nursery decor. Yet every time she passed a mirror, she saw the shadows under her eyes, a constant reminder of the emotional burden she still carried. She couldn't ignore how dramatically her life had changed in such a short time. One afternoon she ventured to her favorite cafe for a decaffeinated latte, only to hear hushed whispers from two women at a nearby table. She caught fragments: "Mistress," "scandal," "lucky she's not divorced." The words cut deep, even as Anna pretended not to notice. The rumors had circulated more widely than she'd hoped. It was a stark reminder that even if Celeste's direct threat was neutralized, people still gossiped. Determined to reclaim her sense of self, Anna decided to confide in an unlikely source, Michelle Donovan, a well-known therapist who specialized in couples recovering from infidelity. Michelle was discreet, recommended by someone Anna trusted, and so, with a mix of trepidation and resolve, Anna scheduled a session. When she arrived at Michelle's office, a quiet, tastefully decorated space, she felt a lump in her throat. She sank into a plush chair, her swollen belly making it difficult to find a comfortable position. Michelle offered a gentle smile. "I understand you've been through a lot. What do you hope to gain from our time together?" Anna let out a shaky breath. "Clarity, mostly. I'm torn between the love and betrayal I feel. Part of me wants to believe James can change, that we can heal. Another part wants to never trust him again." Michelle nodded. Infidelity can fracture a relationship deeply, but healing is possible if both partners commit to honesty, empathy, and addressing the root issues that led to the betrayal. They spoke for nearly an hour, Anna pouring out her story in halting detail. She admitted her fury, her heartbreak, her lingering doubts about James's true motives. She also recognized how the crisis with Celeste had forced them to cooperate, revealing James's willingness to protect her when it truly mattered. By the end of the session, Anna felt a small weight lift from her chest. She left with practical advice: set firm boundaries, demand transparency, and give herself permission to be angry, to grieve. If James truly wanted to change, he would respect her need for time and healing. Later that night, when Anna told James about the therapy session, he surprised her by asking if he could join the next one. The sincerity in his eyes momentarily melted her defenses. She agreed, but with caution. As much as she wanted the father of her child by her side, she couldn't ignore the voice that warned. Once broken, trust is never the same. It took several joint therapy sessions before Anna noticed tangible shifts in James. He admitted to the flaws in his character that made him seek validation outside their marriage. He spoke openly about the pressures he faced in his business empire, the insecurities he felt about becoming a father. Anna, in turn, shared her own vulnerabilities, fear of inadequacy, the isolation she felt in high society circles, and the longing she had for genuine emotional connection. Each session was emotionally draining but also cathartic. They were forced to communicate in ways they never had before, to confront uncomfortable truths that had been simmering beneath the surface. The intangible gap between them began to slowly shrink. Outside therapy, James made visible efforts to be present for Anna. He accompanied her to prenatal checkups, asked questions about the baby's health, and even signed them up for parenting classes. Anna still carried a kernel of distrust, but she allowed herself to acknowledge his efforts. Step by step, they built a fragile bridge over the chasm Celeste had created. Meanwhile, the spectre of Celeste and her father lurked in the background. While there were no direct threats, Anna remained vigilant. She kept in regular contact with Marisol, who monitored any public records that might hint at the De Luca family seeking revenge. So far, there was nothing. It appeared Celeste had honored their truce, likely under pressure from her father, to avoid a scandal that could expose his finances. One evening, as Anna lounged on the couch, massaging her sore feet, James approached with a small velvet box. Her stomach fluttered with apprehension. Gifts, especially expensive ones, had been his go-to method of appeasement in the past. She started to object, but he spoke first. "It's not jewelry," he said, opening the box to reveal a simple, hand-carved wooden figurine of a mother cradling her child. "I commissioned it from a local artisan. It reminded me of you, gentle, protective, strong." Anna felt tears gather in her eyes. She carefully took the figurine in her hands. There was no flashy diamond, no brand label, just a heartfelt token that spoke volumes. "Thank you," she whispered, touched by his thoughtfulness. James settled beside her. "I'm trying, Anna. I know it'll take more than gestures like this to rebuild what I broke, but I want you to know I see you. I see the strength and love you give every day." She looked at him then, recalling all the highs and lows of their relationship. The betrayal still stung, yet in moments like this, she glimpsed the man she once fell for, the man she hoped he could be again. She reached out, gently squeezing his hand. "I see you too," she said, her voice tinged with cautious warmth. "I just need time." His fingers intertwined with hers. "I'll give you all the time you need." And for the first time in what felt like ages, Anna allowed herself a small, genuine smile. The weeks leading up to Anna's due date were a whirlwind of final doctor visits, nursery preparations, and a renewed closeness between Anna and James. They attended their last therapy session before the baby's arrival, and Michelle gave them a parting reminder: healing is a journey, not a destination. Keep communicating, keep being vulnerable. Respect each other's pain. On a warm evening in late spring, Anna felt the first pangs of labor. Fear and excitement clashed within her. James hurried her to the hospital, his voice trembling with concern as he reassured her everything would be okay. During labor, he stayed by her side, his hand never leaving hers. There were moments when the pain threatened to overwhelm her, and she clung to his presence like a lifeline. Finally, after hours of tense anticipation, the cries of a newborn baby filled the hospital room. A flurry of emotion seized Anna as the nurse placed a tiny, squirming infant in her arms. In that instant, all the months of betrayal, blackmail, and heartbreak fell away, overshadowed by the miracle of life cradled against her chest. James's eyes shone with tears. He leaned in to kiss Anna's forehead, then peered into the face of his daughter, delicate, perfect, and wholly reliant on them. The magnitude of responsibility and love struck him like a tidal wave. He understood, in that moment, the gravity of nearly losing everything to his own failings. Anna, exhausted but blissful, marveled at the tiny fingers grasping hers. The child, a symbol of hope and new beginnings, had arrived precisely when Anna needed a reminder that life could persevere through even the darkest storms. In the months following their daughter's birth, Anna and James navigated sleepless nights, diaper changes, and the endless learning curve of first-time parenthood. It was a humbling process that stripped away their pretenses. When Anna struggled with midnight feedings, James was there with a blanket and a soft lullaby. When James felt overwhelmed by a business issue, Anna would gently place their sleeping baby in his arms, grounding him in what truly mattered. They continued therapy intermittently, committed to rebuilding trust, step by step. James took a more transparent approach to his business dealings, involving Anna in key decisions, particularly those that could impact their family's future. He severed ties with shady investors and focused on ethical, sustainable growth. The Lockhart name, once poised on the edge of scandal, began to recover as well. Their crisis with Celeste faded into hushed gossip, overshadowed by positive stories about charitable contributions and new philanthropic efforts championed by Anna. As for Celeste, no more threats emerged. Through their network, Anna heard that Celeste had retreated to Europe, possibly under pressure from her father to lay low. The DeLuca empire showed no public signs of collapsing, but rumor had it they were taking steps to clean up their finances. Whether from fear of exposure or genuine change, it didn't matter to Anna. She had no intention of using the evidence unless pushed. Peace, however tentative, was enough. Anna and James found a delicate rhythm in their relationship. Laughter returned in small doses, accompanied by shared responsibilities that strengthened their bond in ways lavish dinners never could. There were no illusions about perfection. Painful memories still lingered, and trust required constant nurturing. But every time Anna saw James tenderly holding their daughter, she remembered why she had chosen to fight for this family. On their daughter's first birthday, they held a small celebration at home. Close friends and family gathered, including Anna's parents, who beamed at the miracle of their granddaughter. Marisol made a surprise visit, bringing a handmade scrapbook documenting the baby's first year. Armando, James's assistant, stopped by with a thoughtful gift, a silver rattle engraved with the baby's initials. His loyalty had remained steadfast, and Anna secretly hoped James would reward him with a well-earned promotion one day. As the adults chatted and the baby explored her pile of new toys, Anna caught James's eye across the room. He offered her a tentative, genuine smile. In that moment, the walls between them seemed to melt away. She smiled back, cradling their daughter in her arms. The hush of contentment settled over her, like the soft warmth of a summer dusk. Life, they discovered, doesn't revert to what it was before betrayal. But it can become something else, something forged from pain, tempered by resilience, and guided by hope. Anna Lockhart, once naive in her belief in fairy tale perfection, now understood the beauty and fragility of real love. It wasn't flawless or easy. It required grit, courage, and a willingness to face the darkness head-on, and in that complexity, she found a deeper sense of fulfillment than any fairy tale could ever provide. She pressed a gentle kiss to her daughter's forehead, and in that single act, affirmed the path she had taken. Through heartbreak and betrayal, blackmail and danger, she had chosen to stand firm, chosen to seek redemption rather than simple revenge. And as she gazed at James, softly rocking their little girl, Anna realized that, in all its imperfection, this was the life she wanted. A life marked by lessons learned, love reborn, and a future reclaimed against all odds. This story reminds us that sometimes the very thing meant to shatter us becomes the catalyst for growth. A pregnant wife, blindsided by infidelity, found an inner strength she never knew she possessed, standing up not only to her unfaithful husband, but to powerful adversaries who tried to exploit her vulnerability. In facing betrayal, she discovered a new depth of resolve that transformed her tragedy into a defining moment for her entire family. If you enjoyed journeying with Anna as she fought for love, confronted deception, and reclaimed her future, don't forget to show your support. Hit that like button, share this video with someone who might be inspired by her resilience, and subscribe to our channel for more real-life drama stories. Your engagement helps us continue bringing you compelling tales of courage, heartbreak, and hope. Together, let's keep exploring life's most dramatic turning points.